All right, so I'm going to go through making this monkey the way I would do it. And I'm going to start with a completely blank slate. So according to the instructions, the first thing I need to do is create a monkey class. So how do I create a monkey class? Class monkey. What's wrong with this picture? What?
Capitalize the M.
Yep, capitalize the M. Exactly. It's got to be capital. Otherwise, it's not going to work. All right, and it has the following attributes. Whenever you need to assign attributes and you want it to have those attributes to begin with, I would say the best place for that is in initialize. So if I have a monkey down here, I'll just do Juan equals monkey dot, well, okay. I just gave away the answer. I was gonna ask, how do I make this initialize method run? Dot new, exactly. Whenever you do dot new, it makes the initialize method run. So I'm going to do at name. Well, let's see, it needs three things: a name, a species, and a foods eaten. So I know I'm going to be passing those three things in. I'm going to be doing something like Juan equals monkey.new Juan chimp. And then it also asks for foods eaten, and it says that's an array. So I'm going to put the array in here. Now, those of you who went on to the testing, I know this isn't what it asks for in the test, but we'll get to that. I'll put banana in there. All right, so I'm passing three arguments into .new. And what's the other name for .new? Exactly. .new is initialize. So I'm passing three things into it: the name, the species, and the foods eaten. Now I want to save these three things as attributes. So how do I do that? At symbol. So I would do at name equals name, at species equals species, and at foods eaten equals foods eaten.
I have a question about that.
Mm-hmm.
Since the foods eaten is going to be an array, why would you do foods eaten instead of just an empty array?
Because here, I just like to do everything at the start. So, well, okay, fine. So doing this the way it wants it in the tests, what it actually wants in the test is for you to start off with foods eaten being an empty array. But I was just assuming that I hadn't gotten to the test yet, so I was just passing in the array to begin with. But whatever, we'll do it this way. Doesn't really matter, but we'll do it this way. All right. So I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to test it out and see what happens. If I just do binding.pry right now, it's not going to work. What's it missing?
Require pry.
Yep, I need require pry at the top. Is this going to work? It needs to be in quotes. And down here, it doesn't matter what I put. I'll just put hamburger. Okay, so now I'm going to try running this, and we'll see what I can do with Juan. So if I do Ruby and then monkey.rb, it's not going to work. Why? Yep, it's in the lib folder. So I need to do Ruby lib/monkey.rb. And here we go. Okay, so now I have Juan, and looking at him, I can see that he has three attributes: name, species, and foods eaten. This is completely unrelated, really, but does anyone know what this thing is? Or anyone want to stab at it? That weird sequence of stuff up there? Yeah, Matt? No, not a prototype. It is a hash. Yeah, it's an ID or something. Well, no, that's exactly right. This is the computer's way of remembering where in the memory this particular monkey is kept. So it's actually directions to a particular place in memory. I have no idea how that works, and you don't really need to do anything with it, but it's there if you're interested. Okay, so this seems to be working pretty well so far, and I'm not getting any errors. So now I see that it needs to have the following methods: eat food and introduce. So I'm going to do def eat. I see you. 1 second. Food and def introduce. What's up?
You said .new was, what was that again?
Initialize.
Okay.
Yep. So .new is the same thing as initialize. That's the only time you're going to have something other than like in every other situation, if we were to do monkey.bamboo, then it would call a method called bamboo. This is the only time in which those aren't going to match. In which .new is not going to call new, it's going to call initialize. All right, so eat food should add the food, a string, to the list of foods eaten. So how would I do that? How would I add a food to the foods eaten? Sandra?
You could do add foods eaten and then the shovel food.
Yep. That's one way of doing it. Everyone likes this way. I actually prefer this way. I like using push because they do the exact same thing. I just like push because I can read it better and I like Englishy things. But yeah, so this is going to take whatever food was passed in and add it into this foods eaten array. So I'll come back to introduce in a second, but right now I just want to see if this works. So now I have Juan. I should be able to do Juan eat Diet Coke. Diet Cokey, okay. And now I should be able to do Juan eat banana. And Juan eat cookie. And now if I look at Juan, I can see that in his foods eaten, there are 3 things. So I know this is working.
So when you do that, you keep the binding.pry below everything.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Anytime you use pry, you're going to want to have require pry as like the first thing on the page and binding.pry as the last thing on the page. Questions about this part with eat? Yeah, Matt.
If you get an error that says undefined local variables,
So that may be because here I defined Juan right in my file. So I did Juan equals monkey.new right here. That's just so I don't have to do it every time I start up pry. So this means when I load pry, now Juan is in there. If I did something like, I don't know, food equals hamburger, I don't know anything about burgers now, but now when I start up pry, now I have access to this variable called food. If I do spatula equals bagel, now I'll have access to a variable called spatula when I start up pry. So it's just saving me from having to type in Juan equals monkey.new every time I restart pry. What's up, Sarah?
So when you first initialize, you have to go and make the new whatever it is
Yes.
right after?
Yep, you got to do monkey.new. If you don't do .new, it's not going to create a new monkey. So if I do just monkey like this, actually I'm not really sure what will happen. Let's find out. It will say unidentified method monkey for main object. So yep, it's got to be monkey.new in order to create a new monkey. Other questions? Yeah, Anissa.
So when I put t.name, it shows stable. And when I put t.who's
So when you do, like if I do Juan, I get that. But if I do Juan.foods eaten, I'm probably going to get an error here. Is this the error you get, undefined method? Yeah, so that's because, remember the only thing that you can see from outside of an object are its methods. And so it's looking for a method called foods eaten, but it doesn't have one. Juan.name.
Oh, never mind, because I need an accessor.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's exactly how you would fix it with foods eaten. So right now, I can't see the foods eaten. What would I do to this if I wanted to be able to do Juan.foods eaten? What would I add to this? Adrian? Yeah, exactly. So I would type adder accessor and then the name of the attribute. In this case, foods eaten. And I may as well put name and species in there as well. So now when I restart, now I can do Juan.name and get Juan. I can do Juan.species and get chimp. And I can do Juan.foods eaten and probably get an empty array right now. Yep. So let me have Juan eat something. He'll eat a banana. And now if I do Juan.foods eaten, now I get banana. Does that fix it?
Yes, I called it right the whole time.
Yeah, gotcha. I mean, you could also have done like def foods eaten, and then return at foods eaten if you want to be really verbose about it, but that seems like a lot of work. Yeah, Adrian.
This is the wrong thing to ask, sorry. But if I wanted to, I see how like when we did our def food eating functions.
Mhm.
If I wanted to pass in like multiple of them, because I did it with like an array, but
Mhm.
then it gave me like if I did it, with one food and then an array, I had like one food and then like this weird thing in there.
So you did something like banana flapjack. You did something like that?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so if you know you're going to pass in an array, and this is sort of unrelated to what we're doing right now, what you can do is you could do something like foods eaten. I think to push two arrays together, you can just plus. I think you can do that. I'm not entirely sure though, so let me try it. Yeah, there we go. So you can actually add two arrays together. That would be one way of doing it. But since it's asking for a string, I'm just going to stick with this way for right now. That'll give me an array of strings. Other questions? Max.
This is a specific question. I'm having a little trouble in my bash terminal.
Okay.
Just accessing the file. Like in my OOP monkey folder, I listed it. There's a library there. I did Ruby live.monkey.rb and it's coming up with a syntax error every time.
So that probably means that there's an error in your code somewhere. So I'll come take a look at that in a minute. Matt, did you have a question?
No.
All right, cool. Yeah. Andy.
So, sorry, I think I just were doing this when I was taking notes or something.
Mhm.
You removed the foods eaten from one of the arguments passed through the initialize.
Yeah, I did. So I could put foods eaten in here and then do something like this. The difference is now whenever I create a new monkey, well, now whenever I create a new monkey, now see how it's saying wrong number of arguments? So now initialize is expecting three things to be passed in. That is, .new is expecting three things. So I would need to do something like, I'll put banana in here.
Okay.
And now if I run this, now I can do Juan.eat whortleberry. I think so, but I don't know what it is. Foods eaten. I'm rereading Lord of the Rings, and I think I saw it on there. And so now I can do it that way. So this is a way of like being able to pass in an array at the start if you want.
Because I think maybe I just set it up because I have it as foods eaten as an argument, so then I write my first like Andrew equals monkey new whatever.
Mhm.
So it has those three built-in arguments, and then when I do Andrew.eat, it overwrites the initial food eaten, and then it starts adding to the array.
So what you need to watch out for in that is if you have something like foods eaten equals food, if you have an equal sign in there, then it's going to overwrite whatever foods eaten is.
Okay, I actually have the
Shovel?
Yeah, would that have a similar effect?
Shouldn't. No, I should just add it into it. Why don't you Slack that out, and then maybe Joe can take a look at it in Slack. And actually, yeah, Max, would you mind Slacking it out as well? The syntax error you're getting? Yeah, Ken.
How do we store, so as we go and we iterate through George Jackson and add foods and
Mhm.
if we were to exit out the set and send it back to maybe whatever the initial value was, and just put into George and create it?
If you're, could you say that louder? I'm sorry.
So how do we store the extra food? Like how do we get it to return to us the food that we've eaten already without reading it?
So let me get rid. I'll put this back to the way it was. And then I'll restart this. Now I'm going to say Juan.eat banana, Juan.eat pancake. So now if I type Juan.foods eaten, I get that array. Is that what you're going for?
It is, but then when I exit it out and then restarted the program, it reset.
Oh, yeah, I see. Yeah, so there's no way to make this stuff carry over from one prize session to another. So if you want Juan to always start off with, the foods in there, then you would need to type it here in your code. Like I could put Juan eat banana, Juan eat pancake, and now whenever I run this script, Juan's going to start off with a banana and a pancake in his foods eaten. But there's no way to make data carry over from one pry to the next pry.
And in this case, that food has to be in quotes, right? So that it recognizes it as.
Yeah, because if it's not in quotes, then what? Yeah. If it's not in quotes, then can anyone tell me what it thinks banana is? It thinks it's a variable. Yeah, so anything not in quotes, it's going to think is a variable. So it has to be in quotes. Any other questions?
Are we going to go over how to get the test to work?
Yeah, that's what I was going to do.
That's
next.
what I figured I'd do.
All right, so let's see, where am I at here? All right, so the next thing is introduce. And so for introduce, I can just do, hello, I'm at name, and I'm a at species. I like to eat. And then did anyone get the foods to list out? How'd you do it, Sanjay?
So I did same like a hash,
Mhm.
hash mark, and then that at foods eaten, and then dot join,
Nice.
quotes, space, and then quote.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so this is going to take the foods eaten array, and it's going to put comma and in between each thing in the array and turn it into a string. So if I do, well, here, let me just restart Juan. Juan.eat banana, Juan.eat pancake, Juan.eat bagel. If I do Juan.introduce right now, I should get hello, I'm Juan, and I'm a chimp. I like to eat banana and pancake and bagel. His grammar isn't great, but
that was my issues.
yeah. Yeah, Adrian.
With the join thing,
Uh-huh.
have it
You're good. Just make sure with join that you have whatever's in here inside quotes. If it's not inside quotes, it's not going to work. So you have to have quotes in here.
If you had no space, it would just
Yep.
smush it all together.
Yeah, so if I do that, then it should say Juan.eat cake, Juan.eat pie. It should say cake pie. And there it is. So yep, you probably want to have something more in there. All right, other questions? Yeah, Kim. In front of each of these? So if we don't have these in here, well, let's just start off with name. If I don't have at in front of name, then it's going to look inside this method for a variable called name. And it's not going to find it. So it's going to throw an error at me. It's going to say, like, undefined error, cannot find method name, something like that. Whereas if I have it, then it looks in the entire class for that variable. So it's not going to work without the at. It needs to have the at. Other questions? Yeah, okay. RSpec, fine. Okay, so in order to run RSpec, I need to get rid of all this other stuff I've written in here. Can't have require pry, none of that stuff. I'm just going to have the class just by itself. And now when I run RSpec, I have no idea what I'm going to get. Well, all of my tests pass, but let's say they didn't. Let me get rid of this line right here. Okay, so now I have 1 test pass and 4 tests fail. And so what's cool about RSpec is that it gives you an idea of why it failed. So here it's saying expect Adam.name to equal Adam. It tried to do Adam.name, and it's saying it can't do name. It's saying name is not defined. And so if name is not defined, then that gives me an idea that I'm forgetting an attr accessor or something in there. It's looking for .name and it can't find it. And that's the same thing with all of these, undefined method species. So it's looking for this instance's method called species and it can't find it, which indicates to me that I need to put attr accessor or something in there. And same thing with all of these. It keeps on looking for Juan.FoodsEaten or Juan.species, and it can't find it. It can't find that method. So that means I forgot the attr accessor. So if I put it back in there and run it, now I get this pretty green color, and now it all passes. So oftentimes fixing one test can fix all the other tests as well. If you had something like this, and this is what I did the first time, I had puts and then this sentence right here. And this will fail, so everything passes except for the introduce. And this is kind of weird. It says expected nil to include Jesse, but it does not respond to include. So whenever you get expected something, basically whatever comes after expected is what it gets back from running this method. So it's saying it's getting nil back from introduce. That's because what this is returning is nil. Puts returns nil. Puts has a side effect of printing stuff out on your screen, but puts returns nil. So having puts in here would cause it to not work. Without puts, it works perfectly fine. All right.
So you just put the word RSpec, or you just put like.
Yep. Yep, just RSpec, and there it goes.
It's kind of with a whole bunch of other stuff.
Well, you got to make sure you're in the OOP monkey folder. And I mean, if you have tests failing,
It's not failing, it's just running a bunch of stuff that doesn't look.
oh, that's weird. Well, put it out on Slack. I think a screenshot of that would be really helpful, actually. All right, questions about this stuff? About this part here? Matt?
Yeah, on my introduce, my food eating was in case after I went into the terminal and I added the banana, it was encased inside of like a /star, right?
That's weird. Well, that can happen if you have something like this. If you don't have .join, then when I run this, it's not going to work. Let me put pry back in here. Oops. Ruby lib monkey.rb. Close enough. One.introduce. So it gives me an empty array, and if I tell them to eat something, it'll print out. Is that what you got?
That's what I got.
So that's because it's trying to print out this array. And this is just how Ruby prints out arrays. If you want to turn that array into a string, something that prints out prettier, then you need to use .join or something.
What about that, like a dollar sign or like the percentage for strings? Or that has a space.
I have no idea. But what I would do is just .join and then something in there.
Alright.
And now this will print out, well, I'm not going to do it again, but it would print out, and I like to eat banana and pancake and whatever. It's just going to insert and between each thing in the array.
Okay.
Can you go back to that when you were describing the nil class error?
Yeah. Guys, why don't we take a break for, I can hear people getting a little restless, so why don't we take a break for another 7 minutes and we'll come back at 25 again. So the thing is that puts is a method, just like any other method. And when I have puts in here, remember that Ruby implicitly returns whatever the last thing returned inside here is. So if I do, return Wanda, then it's going to be Wanda. If I just type the string Wanda, then that's considered to be the last thing returned, so it's still going to be Wanda. Puts is a method that actually returns nil. So whenever you go into cry, for crying out loud. Okay, fine. If I do puts hello, if I do puts hello, then it prints out hello to the screen, but what it actually returns is nil. Puts returns nil. Because puts returns nil, the last thing to get returned inside here is nil. So that's why it's like, oh, I got nil back out of here. I don't know what to do.
I think added error
It should be low. The only one that should be uppercase or capitalized is class names. Oh, you should turn into a space. Oh, you know what?
I'm feeling great about I'm just like, I don't want to open it back up, like, since finished Thomas number 2, because I know how I was doing in the past, that's what I was doing in the first one. The one I get, right? I did like a lot of this salad, did a lot of things, stuff, so I was like,